Welcome to the Africa Tech Kin right here on ZiFM Stereo, your essential guide through the sometimes complicated world of technology. I'm your host, Danny That Guy, and today we got a packed show for you. Coming up, we're going to be looking at a major commitment coming through from Huawei all the way out in Beijing to really help out in Zimbabwe's technological journey. Our president was out there in Beijing, and we're going to analyze the meeting that he had with Huawei out there. But our main story tonight really is a deep dive into a global storm. It's a conversation that has been happening over the last few months, and it's going to change potentially how all of us use the internet, maybe for good. And it's the issue of age verification. It's been sold to us as a way to protect the children, but is that what it's doing? Could it be threatening the privacy and freedom that all of us hold dear with our usage of the internet? Well, we're going to break down the tech, the stories, the laws, and the real world consequences of this issue of age verification. On top of that, we got some quick takes on some of the latest news coming through from the world's biggest technology giants, so you don't want to be anywhere else. This is the Africa Tech Kin right here on ZiFM Stereo. If you'd like to be part of the show, you can drop us a WhatsApp on the number 0772-168-045, or you can use your favorite social media platform of choice. That's X. So difficult to call it that. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or even TikTok, where we have not only this show, but all kinds of other content that we have here on ZiFM Stereo. So make sure you connect with us. The hashtag is Africa Tech Kin, because as I often say, we're all a family and technology is what connects us. So, shall we kick things off with our main, or rather with our first story, and that's to do with President Mnangagwa's tech diplomacy trip out in China. The context is that President Mnangagwa is out in China as part of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, or FOCAC. The trip focuses on strengthening ties between African countries and China. So they have had conversations about several things, but the one that obviously piqued my interest was conversations on technology. Specifically, the president had a meeting with executives from Huawei, one of the biggest technology companies in the world, as part of a broader economic diplomacy push. And there are several things that we were able to secure out of that. So coming through from this meeting, as announced via official presidential communications channels, His Excellency the President, Edi Mnangagwa, was able to meet with his delegation of executives from Huawei, and they were able to discuss on upgrading the high-performance computer center to boost performance through artificial intelligence, as well as setting up a digital training facility in Zimbabwe. So that's pretty much a big deal. Look at this. This could mean a lot of things for us as a country. We're looking for the potential at skills development, ICT talent pipelines, strengthening this China-Zimbabwe relationship, because as we know, China is a huge technological hub and powerhouse in the world. And hopefully we're going to be able to see that these kind of conversations are going to lead to increases in technological advancement here in the country. Actually, take a listen to this coming through from Huawei Technologies Zimbabwe Managing Director, Mr. Yang Shengwan, as he spoke immediately after this meeting that he had with our president.
In the meeting, Your Excellency mentioned the ICT talents and also the development of the digitalization, right? I think what is going to happen, Huawei has been running those ICT talents programs for quite years, and we will continue and also expand investment on the ICT talents. We have been in Zimbabwe for 25 years already, 26 years. No matter what happened in Zimbabwe, Huawei is with Zimbabwe. We are also planning to introduce the new technologies such as AI, big data, cloud, and other technologies to the country.
That's Mr. Yang Shengwan, the managing director for Zimbabwe for Huawei Technologies, immediately after the meeting that he had with our president, Edi Mnangagwa, out in Beijing, China, and really describing the positive nature of the talks that was happening between the tech giant and our country. So this is a significant commitment. We're hoping to see this play out in Zimbabwe's tech scene. We want to see what is the curriculum going to look like for this training facility. We want to see who's going to benefit from it. We want to see how it fits into our national digital skills strategy. Huawei is not a new player to Zimbabwe or the tech scene in general. It's been a major partner in developing Zimbabwe's telecommunications infrastructure for years potentially even decades, including projects with Net1, Tel1, and many others. So let's see how this kind of engagement is going to move our technology scene forward. Speaking of which, the Ministry of ICT, Postal and Courier Services have announced in some way the registrations that are happening for the ZimDigitsal 1.5 million coders initiative that they announced as well several months ago. This initiative is a partnership between the UAE and Zimbabwe to try and train 1.5 million coders in Zimbabwe. So if you'd like to be part of this, you can register. But we're going to talk about this more in next week's show, as we're going to have a conversation together with the Ministry of ICT, Postal and Courier Services, as they explain a little bit more about this initiative and how it could help you or your children. Maybe they're looking as to how they can empower themselves with coding skills. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in next week's show. Something to look forward to. Okay, look, let's focus right now on our main story. And this has to do with a battle for the future of internet globally, and it affects us here in Zimbabwe. So here's the situation. Governments in the UK, Australia, the US, they have been passing laws to enforce, or rather to force online platforms to verify your age. And the reason for this is to protect the children. You are probably aware that more and more online platforms have potentially dangerous content on them for children. The idea does sound simple. The idea, in fact, perhaps even sounds positive. If you have children, you probably feel the same way that I do, even though I don't have children, that we should be protecting children from some of the harms that are available on the internet. Let's establish context a little bit first. Here in Zimbabwe, the Censorship and Entertainment Control Act prohibits the distribution or provision of adult content, not just to children, but really to anyone. There's even some questions about possession of adult content. From a global perspective, most countries follow the idea of protecting children from access to adult content. So what seems to be a very simple progression of that desire is, why don't we put in place a law that every platform must stop children from accessing adult content? We're together so far, 100% on board with that. They've proposed several methods of age verification. The first one is a hard ID. The idea is these platforms, and when we say these platforms, we're talking about social media platforms. Of course, adult content platforms is one thing. That's a whole other discussion. But because adult content is potentially available or accessible through almost any platform, and the definitions of adult content might change depending on which government is asking the question, almost every single platform that hosts content might be expected in some of these different places to start introducing these age verification laws. And the way they are saying that they do it is, number one, either through a hard ID. In other words, use your ID or your ID document or your passport or any kind of verifiable ID. You upload a photo of it and someone is able to verify that this is indeed your ID and your date of birth, and then you're able to access said platform. Others have put forward the idea of using AI tools, AI-powered facial analysis that is able to determine how old you are based on analyzing your face, estimating your age, essentially. Of course, this is a very controversial technology. It's not accurate. And even though AI tools are getting better and better, there are several groups, especially women, people of color, who are not represented well in this kind of technology at all. So there will always be false positives, and it's got built-in bias in it and so on. So here's the situation. We're together so far. Most governments around the world agree that, you know what, we want to protect the children against accessing adult content. We're together. A lot of this adult content is available on so many different platforms on the internet. Some of this adult content, while not outright explicit, might not be appropriate for children. There are YouTube videos that might not be appropriate for children. There are posts on Facebook and Twitter, formerly, or rather Twitter, that some people call X, that are not appropriate for children. So governments are saying, okay, so all these platforms need to put in place systems to verify the ages of all their users. Here's the problem. The problem is using these systems is, number one, dangerous. Number two, a problem to privacy and security. And number three, unenforceable. Allow me to explain. Proponents of things like the Online Safety Act, which is a law in the UK that was passed, the Minister Michelle, or rather the equivalent of a minister out there in the UK, Michelle Donnellan. She says that we have to put the safety of our children first. So the tech industry has failed to regulate itself, so we will regulate the tech industry. However, one of our opponents in an organization called EFF, or the Electronic Frontier Foundation, not the EFF you're thinking of, they said that, look, this is a system of mass surveillance. It's masquerading as child protection. It will create a centralized honeypot of data for hackers, and it will kill online anonymity. Are you seeing the debate that's happening here? On the one side, many politicians and perhaps people with good intentions are saying, look, we must protect the children. In fact, this kind of term, or rather this kind of argument actually has a term. Think of the children is what they call it. And the idea is it's to tug at your emotions. And most people would agree we have to protect the children. But critics and opponents of these bills, which, by the way, have already passed in the UK and Australia and in some states in America, the opponents of these bills are saying that it's not possible to enforce this age verification bill. One, if you require online databases of millions of driver's licenses, IDs, and passports, there's nothing that exists on the internet that is not ultimately hackable. So all those things could potentially be available to bad actors. Two, young people, teenagers, are especially good at going around restrictions. And I'm sure you can probably agree with me that teenagers are far more tech savvy than most adults. For example, in the UK, when the Online Safety Act was passed, one app maker of VPNs, or virtual private networks, these are tools that people are able to use to mask their presence online. Well, this app maker of VPNs reported a 1,800% spike in downloads of their VPN app on the day that this Online Safety Act was put into place in the UK. We can expect that children all over the world will be able to use, teenagers will be able to use various tools and technology because they're tech savvy to be able to bypass these different requirements and restrictions that are put in place by governments all over the world. Now, how is this going to affect you and me? We're talking about things that are happening in the US and the UK and things happening in Australia. After all, adult content is already illegal here in Zimbabwe anyway. Here's how it will affect you and me. The very tools that you are using, perhaps you're watching this if you're watching this show live on YouTube, or what you use via WhatsApp, Twitter, some people call it X, Instagram, Facebook, all those tools are based in the US, for example. Many of them are in Europe. So if these tools have to, by law, start introducing age verification, here you in Zimbabwe might be expected to start uploading your ID to be able to open up your Twitter, or uploading your ID to be able to open up YouTube, which means your ID is going to be sitting in a database somewhere and potentially accessible to bad actors. It also potentially means that you are no longer private or secure online because your profile is tied to your ID. What is that going to do for marginalized groups? What is that going to do for people who are perhaps trying to make sure that they're not persecuted for whatever reason? It might be interesting times ahead as these various age verification laws are being passed all around the world. The intent, the motive behind it, we understand, protect the children. But this kind of law is unenforceable. Experts say this kind of law it's not possible for tech companies to be able to enforce these. So what's going to happen? Entire spaces might just be banned from the apps. Or maybe it's going to lead to all kinds of illegal activity. So really, the question is, for us to solve this problem of trying to protect the children, does it make sense to essentially violate everyone's privacy? I would like to propose a better solution. Make it the responsibility of parents to be able to make sure that their children are staying far away from inappropriate content. Well, this is my thoughts, and of course, we're discussing the different sides of the conversation. I would love to hear your thoughts. Please, you can use the WhatsApp channel 0772-168-045, or you can hit us up via the social media platforms. Use the hashtag AfricaTechKin, and I'll be able to see your posts, and we can continue this conversation. Perhaps you are thinking that, no, we absolutely doesn't matter. My privacy doesn't matter. Or perhaps you're thinking, yeah, maybe it does belong to the parents to be able to enforce this protection of children. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue with some more discussions here on the Africa Tech Kin. My name's Danny That Guy. This is ZiFM Stereo. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Africa Tech Kin right here on ZiFM Stereo, the show where we discuss the week's technology news and various trends. It's an opportunity for you to stay up to date with the ever-changing world of technology and also perhaps find opportunities for yourself, your business, maybe your employees or your employer, depending on where it is that you are in the food chain. We've had some very robust discussions about some of the trends happening on the internet around the world, conversations about age verification, conversations about how Zimbabwe could step forward into the world of technology. If you'd like to catch up, or maybe there's some things that you want to listen back to, or you're just joining us, then you can obviously find this full show available via podcasts. Search for ZiFM Stereo on all your podcast apps, and you can access this and many other shows via podcasts. Just make sure you hit subscribe and you'll be able to listen to these shows on demand. Alternatively, you can also watch this show on YouTube. This show, we film it and put it up on our YouTube platform, and you'll be able to also follow along in these discussions. And of course, we have clips to help generate some of these discussions via our social media platforms. So follow ZiFM Stereo on everything so you can be part of these conversations. So to wrap up our show today, there's a couple of quick stories that I wanted to mention from global technology giants. Let's start off with Microsoft. So traditionally, we've had the major players in the world of AI. That's OpenAI with ChatGPT, Google with Gemini, Anthropic with Claude, and Perplexity probably falls into that category as well. Well, there's now a new major player that has just waded into the fray. And I'm talking about none other than tech giant and at some point, many points during the year, the most valuable company in the world, Microsoft. I mean, sometimes they fight with NVIDIA. At some point, it was Apple, but also for many points of the year, it was Microsoft. Now, Microsoft had previously done most of their AI work through Copilot in their partnership with OpenAI, but it seems this week they've unveiled their foray into the world of generative AI through something they call MAI or Microsoft AI. If you're in Zimbabwe, the mother of AI. It's reportedly huge, it's powerful, it apparently has been trained with tens of thousands of GPU servers, and they claim that it rivals the best that are currently out in the market. So of course we're going to see how things go, and Microsoft do have the resources to be able to make sure that their model perhaps becomes one of the major players in the game as well. So that's the story about MAI. Another quick story. We are expecting next week Apple to have a major event, another one of the biggest technology companies in the world. Apple will be releasing, at this point it's more than rumors, everyone is pretty sure that they'll be releasing the iPhone 17 coming out next year. The countdown has begun, not next year, next week, sorry. The countdown has begun. Apple is expected to unveil as many as 8 new products at this event that will be happening next week. Don't worry. As soon as it drops, we'll be able to give you an update on all the things that Apple has announced. But one of the major things we're looking forward to is a new phone in Apple's lineup, the iPhone Air. So it will be the iPhone 17 Air, reportedly, or as so they say in rumors. But at this point, most experts expect that will be the case. It's apparently super thin, which I don't understand. Is anyone asking for a thinner phone? Do people want thinner phones? Well, we'll see when they announce it. But yeah, we're also expecting the general iPhone 17 range, as well as new Apple Watches, new laptops, and so on and so on. So we'll keep you updated. And I just thought to let you know about this major tech event that's coming up. Okay, look, we're out of time. That's pretty much our show for this week. Thank you very much for tuning in, from Huawei's commitment out in China to Zimbabwe to our robust conversation about global age verification, how it could affect you and me and the internet in general. We've had some great conversations. What are your thoughts? Please share them with me. The hashtag is AfricaTechKin. Drop it on any of your favorite social media platforms and we can continue the conversation. We will, of course, also be putting up this video on YouTube, and you can access it via podcasts. Make sure to tune in next week where we expand on conversations about technology in Zimbabwe. But for now, don't go anywhere. Right here on ZiFM Stereo, we continue with current affairs. So stick around right here on ZiFM Stereo. This has been the Africa Tech Kin, because as I say, we're all a family, and it's technology that connects us. My name's Danny That Guy. We'll catch you again next week. Bye-bye.
Tune in next time for Africa Tech Kin on ZiFM Stereo, discussing all things tech.